Hey guys, it's Dom here, and today we have a very special set made by a user called Hazash, and I had a bit of input on a couple of the cards in the set, but I didn't really do much towards it, so he takes full credit for the set Beasts of the Marsh, which is based off the Murkmire DLC in Elder Scrolls Online. I'll leave a link to the Imgur kind of collection set, so if you guys are interested in some more synergies with the cards, if I don't really explain anything properly, or if you're just really interested in the actual card lore, you can look on there and it'll tell you exactly about the cards. But yeah, thank you Hazash so much for sending me this set. It looks absolutely amazing, and we're going to go through it today, and I'll give my opinions on all the cards. So without further ado, let's get into Willpower. So the first card we're looking at is the Lilmoth Antiquarian, a 2-cost Imperial with 1 power and 4 health, and has the summon ability to put an expedition contract in your hand, and when you complete a treasure hunt, this card will gain +1/+1. And what an expedition contract does is it will restore the completed treasure hunts of friendly creatures, and you get to draw a card as well. So not only is this just a 2-cost card which gives you something in hand which you can then use for 1 cost to draw another card, but it also reset the abilities of your treasure hunt units which are already on the board and have successfully gone off. So it's quite nice just to get that second use to an archetype which really didn't get enough action in Elder Scrolls Legends, so a card like this would be very nice for the game. Next we have the Hulking Voroplasm, a 4-cost 2/4 slime which has Last Gasp. Summon 1/1 colonist slimes equal to Hulking Voroplasm's power. Now this is a kind of card which would work very well in rally decks because you could keep on buffing up its health and power, and when it gets destroyed a lot of colonist slimes just swarm the board. And if you've got cards like Divine Fervor out, then not only is the Hulking Voroplasm going to summon more colonist slimes, but it means that they'll be buffed themselves when they get summoned. And with combos like this, a card like this could go really well into some Swarm archetypes in Spellsword or House Redoran. So I feel like, again, this is a very nice addition for Willpower. Okay, so now moving on to Strength, we have the Naga Kerr Veteran, a 2-cost 1/1, who, when destroyed, will put a Bone Dagger in your hand with power and cost equal to this card's power. So, if this card was to be destroyed, it would make a 1-cost Bone Dagger with bonus 1 power, so just like a regular dagger. But in the correct decks, with like House Redoran as mentioned before, this could end up giving you, say, a 4-cost dagger, which will give a unit 4 power, and at first that might not seem too powerful, but when you realise that Strength has quite a few cards with charge in, it does mean that this could lead to some fairly lethal late game plays. And I do think that because this doesn't start off as a very strong card, and you do actually have to put some work into it to get a good reward out of it, it works very well in the game. And of course, if it gets destroyed by something like Curse, I'd assume that because it would technically have 0 power, you just wouldn't get the card, and it would kind of have that issue of you are still having some sort of risk with not getting what you'd want, or if it gets silenced, obviously. Right, so the other card made for Strength is the Argonian Behemoth. It's a 6-cost 5/5 with charge. Enemy creatures in this lane will have guard while he's on the board. So it's a cheaper version of Swiftwing Dragon, but instead of it being a dragon, it's an Argonian. And as Argonians don't really have much in Strength, you'd have to kind of run this as an Ebonheart Pact deck if you want to get off all the Argonian synergies. So there is a reason for that card being cheaper, as well as its effect giving your opponents a keyword. Although this could be then used to kind of get past cover, so there are some kind of otherworldly bonuses to it. And late game, if you've got 2 of these in hand, your opponent's got an open lane, you could easily get 10 damage off. So it's something which in situations can be a lot more powerful than you'd expect. And in others, it's just something which is quite a nice first hit, but then actually gives quite a big bonus to your opponent. Next we have Intelligence, and we have first to look at the Chime Keeper, a 3-cost 3/3 with Treasure Hunt Prophecy, and this will put a Prophecy card from your hand to the top of your deck at the end of your turn. So this has quite a few kind of cool uses, one of them being if you've drawn a Prophecy card that you just don't want to have to pay for, you can just put it on the top of your deck, and then it's kind of at your opponent's disposal to decide, am I going to risk losing something big to attack? And with this working very well with the first card we showed off in the set, you can do this twice, and it is just a very nice card for Prophecy and Treasure Hunt decks, as you're not going to want a Prophecy in hand, as they're usually a bit more expensive than they should be, just because they obviously have that effect where they could be played for free. So something like this would work very well in one of those mage decks which has a lot of Prophecies. And the next card we have is the Lamia Domina, and I had a bit of input in this card, and it does have my first name in the second word in the name, so it's pretty cool. And it's a 7-cost Lamia, which has 3 power and 4 health, and has guard, and when summoned will deal damage to a creature equal to its power, and at the start of your turn it will trigger its ability. So it's something which over turns will start to snowball, and also links in with these cards from earlier which have the abilities to do with being more powerful if they have more power. But that obviously means that you'd need to put cards into them to make them stronger. And as this is intelligence, you can't just run it in a red run deck and have it get buffed a lot. You'd have to kind of flex it into a different deck, which is what makes it quite balanced, especially for its 7 cost. Okay, so over in agility we have the Roadside Strangler, a 3-cost plant with 3 power and 2 health, and when summoned will move a creature in the other lane, then shackle it. So this would be very nice for just having a few movement synergies, even though it's, well, if it's going to be used on one of your creatures, it's going to end up shackling it, and if it's used on your opponent, obviously it means that you can stop it from attacking. So against decks like Pilfer, or say your opponent summons something really strong in the shadow lane and is relying on that cover, this is your way of getting around that, because it won't be able to attack because it's shackled very clearly. And it's just those nice little combos together, and how its agility, it all works together very nicely. So next we have the Cotto Galvez Swarm, a 4-cost action, and has Drain and will deal 1 damage to each enemy creature. So at most this is going to get you 8 health back, and will deal 1 damage to a lot of things. It's not really going to be destroying a lot in most situations, and it's not going to hit their face because, you know, your face and their face aren't creatures. So it's pretty much just something that you'd use to kind of weaken everything, and then use other agility cards like Finish Off and Leaf Lurker to kind of eliminate cards that you don't want to deal with, as well as gaining some health back. So it's got a lot of a kind of jack of all trades use in agility, which I find very nice and something which is cool. Moving into endurance, we have the Repugnant Horville, a 4-cost 3/4 insect which has Drain, and when you gain health it will heal this card. So basically whenever this attacks it will heal because it has Drain, unless somehow its keywords get stolen from something like a Narcy. And well, this is just really nice for endurance because it works quite well with the fact with a lot of cards healing in endurance, say like the Trolls and other cards like that. And obviously as it's doing Drain, you're getting a bit of health back from all of its uses. And because it's at the point where it's a 4-cost, but it's not too strong, it's something which your opponent might want to use removal on to get rid of, but if they're using the removal on that, it means that they won't have it for your bigger cards later on. And the other endurance card is the Mygaunt, which is a 5-cost plant with 5 power and 5 health, and when he slays a creature he consumes it, and when you consume a card, this card will gain 1 power and 1 health. This is an excellent removal card for endurance, because whenever it's slaying things it's just banishing them basically, so your opponent's not going to be able to get them back. And not only is it going to be buffing up every time it's slaying a card, if you have something else to consume cards, like, what is it, Vile Defiler? I can't remember, it's the one which will consume the top 3 cards of your deck. That's going to make this a +3/+3, and with other synergies like that, which are in Sorcerer, this can become an excellent removal and buff card, which will snowball out of control and flatten opponents if it's not hit by removal. So all we have left to look at now are the legendaries, and we'll start with Zuckus, the 5-cost Argonian for scouts, who has 4 power and 4 health and guard, and when he's summoned he will reduce a creature's power and health by your current magicka. So late game this is basically just a removal card, but early game it's something which would be used to stop lethal cards from dealing damage, or just, you know, weakening a creature off, so that you could use something like Leaf Lurker or Finish Off to finish them off, I guess. You know, that's what the card suggests. And it's a very nice thing for scouts, just because it helps with the removal. And it does fit into my favourite scout deck, the Goblin decks. But anyway, we're not going to waffle on about them, because I don't want you guys to all unsubscribe. I do need that for my ego. So we'll move on to the Remnant of Argon, the only neutral card in the set, which is a 7-cost support with unlimited uses, and when activated it will consume a creature, and when 5 creatures have been consumed it will summon a copy of each consumed creature as a 1/1, which I think is a really nice idea of just slowly emptying your graveyard so your opponent can't get rid of them by banishing it. And then when these cards all come back onto the field, you gain 5 cards suddenly, who are all very weak, but their effects could be quite lethal. And by the time you're playing this card, it's going to be around turn 12 that you're getting off this effect. So it's very late game stuff, and it does mean you're probably going to have to summon a couple of weaker cards. But there is a chance you're getting off a lot of big, bulky cards. But it's a very excellent card for neutral, as it can go in any deck. And last but not least, we have the dual card for Warrior, Jakszyk, Ornn, and Tsoge. I've probably butchered that second name, I apologise. But anyway, we'll get on with the video. And Jakszyk Ornn is a 1-cost 0/2, which has a very clever effect, which is when this card has its ward broken, it will unsummon all items equipped to her. And the Blade Tsoge, a 2-cost card, when equipped to an Argonian or an Orc, will give it a ward as well as 2 power anyway if it's equipped to anything else. So this will have some sort of clever power with Jakszyk, which means that you'd have to attack Jakszyk twice to kind of get through to her and destroy her. But it also means that unless she's been buffed by stuff like Rally, the second hit's just going to kill her, making her not too overpowered for a 1-cost. But with the effects of the Blade, a very nice opener in the game. But that's the full collection. If you are interested in more of the lore, I would highly recommend you check out Hazash's full list on Imgur. Thank you so much for sending this to me, and I hope this isn't your last collection, because it's a very, very cool thing. And if you guys enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, show your support to Hazash, and stay safe. I'll hopefully see you next time for, I think it's an Elder Scrolls Legends video. We'll find out. You just keep watching the channel.